Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Good, good. Because today we're going deep on reincarnation.
Oh, wow.
Specifically, we're looking at kids, those accounts from kids who claim to remember past lives.
Fascinating stuff.
It is. And we've got some wild stories to get into, really intriguing stuff. I mean, we've got a Japanese boy who can recall a motorcycle accident in vivid detail. We've got an American toddler who just starts like spouting WWII aircraft terminology
Like out of nowhere.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's really something.
It's interesting to me how these stories, regardless of whether they're actually true or not, I mean, it doesn't even matter. They really grab you, you know? They
Yeah.
tug at that fascination we all have with the unknown. I mean, who hasn't sat there and wondered if there's more to life than what we see every day?
Right. It's like getting a glimpse behind the curtain, like what's really going on here.
Yeah.
And with some of these accounts, I mean, you really start to wonder if these kids are getting a sneak peek at a past life.
A previous
Exactly, a previous act. And speaking of peeking behind the curtain, let's start with this case from Japan. So we've got a mother who decides to take to Twitter,
of all places.
of all places, right,
Yeah.
to try and find the mother of her son's supposed past life.
Wow.
Apparently, this 7-year-old son has been talking about remembering a previous life since he was just 3 years old.
That's pretty young.
Yeah, very young. They
Yeah.
have those kinds of memories or whatever you want to call them.
I mean, what's so fascinating to me here are the details the boy gives, right? Like he claims he died in a motorcycle accident when he was 17.
Oh, wow.
And he can describe things like the type of motorcycle, the car that hit him. He even talks about the sounds of a specific crosswalk signal.
It's almost like he's got a dash cam recording playing in his head.
Exactly.
And of course, the parents are skeptical at first, like anyone would be.
Oh, absolutely.
But they become more and more convinced as time goes on.
Yeah.
Especially the father, who's very meticulous. He's a civil servant. He documents everything,
Like
every detail, every little thing the boy says, like a true believer who just happens to be a researcher at heart.
that level of documentation is interesting.
Yeah.
It suggests a desire to not just understand, but maybe even prove the experience, even if it's just to themselves.
Yeah, like validate it somehow.
Mhm.
But even with all that careful record keeping, they couldn't actually verify the boy's story.
Right.
They found a street that sounded similar based on the descriptions, but nothing concrete enough to actually confirm, that this accident happened.
Kind of a dead end there.
Dead end, yeah.
Yeah.
And like a lot of these stories, the boy's memories start to fade as he gets older. It's almost like the universe gave him a little glimpse and then just took it away.
A limited time offer on a past life.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a pattern you see a lot with these cases, this fading of memories. It definitely makes you think about what memory even is, especially in young children.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it really a past life, or is it just a really active imagination? Kids are easily influenced and things change.
Right.
Their memories change.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And actually, hold on to that thought, because our next case, this one takes us from the streets of Japan to the skies of World War II.
All right, let's fly.
So this involves a 2-year-old boy named James who just starts dropping WWII aircraft terms like he's some kind of expert.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the kid, he corrects his mother about a toy plane,
No way.
insisting that the bombs are actually drop tanks.
Drop tanks.
And
Yeah.
the parents had to look it up. They didn't even know what he was talking about.
That's what always gets me with these stories, the specificity. It's one thing for a kid to say airplane, but to use a term like drop tanks, that's another level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it gets even weirder. So little James starts having these nightmares about being trapped in a burning plane,
Oh.
shot down by the Japanese. And he's drawing these detailed pictures of planes and ships, aerial combat, way beyond what you'd expect from a 2-year-old.
Like stick figures with wings.
Yeah, exactly.
This is different.
It's almost like he's being pulled towards a certain time and place, subconsciously.
Right, and of course you've got the parents stepping in, trying to make sense of it all.
Oh yeah, the father, Bruce, he's determined to get to the bottom of this. Becomes like a detective in his spare time, poring over these WWII naval records.
Oh.
And he eventually finds a possible pilot named James Houston, who died in the Battle of Iwo Jima, flying a Corsair, and that's the same plane that Jones is drawing and talking about.
Dedicated dad right there.
Right. Talking about going above and beyond, but it shows you how these stories really become intertwined with the parents' own journey. You know, their need to understand what's going on.
Absolutely. They're trying to put the pieces together and make sense of the inexplicable.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And and Bruce's journey doesn't stop there. He goes to a reunion of the USS Natoma, that was the ship Houston served on,
Okay.
hoping to find someone who remembered him.
Makes sense.
And and strangely enough, no one at the reunion remembered a James.
Hmm.
But they did say there was a crewman named Jack Larson who didn't make it back from the battle.
Jack Larson? Wait a minute. Didn't the boy mention a Jack Larson at some point?
You're right. Earlier on, James had said his past life name was James, but then he also
Yeah.
refers to himself as Jack Larson, and then says it's not a person's name.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about a bizarre detail.
It's those little things, those details that really make you stop and think, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If it's all just a kid's fantasy, why throw in this random specific name?
Yeah, it's like a clue in a puzzle that doesn't quite fit.
Right.
And of course, Bruce, being the detective that he is, he tracks down this Jack Larson.
Okay.
And guess what? Larson confirms knowing a James who died in the battle. It's like watching a historical mystery unfold in real time.
That's wild.
I know it's almost too perfect.
It really is. But it does make you wonder, with all this digging and connecting, is there a chance that maybe he's shaping the narrative a little, even subconsciously, finding the proof
Yeah.
that fits the story?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's
Yeah.
hard to know for sure, right?
Yeah.
And just like the Japanese boy, James's memories eventually fade as he gets older. By the time he's 11, it's all just a hazy memory.
Another one bites the dust.
Yeah. It really makes you wonder what purpose these fleeting memories serve, if any at all.
Right. Is it just a glitch in the system, or is there something more to it?
Something more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we get too philosophical, let's move on to a case that's, well, it's a little bit darker. This one involves a 3-year-old boy in Syria who claimed to have been murdered in a past life.
Oh, wow.
And he doesn't just say that. He offers these details about his former home and the neighbor who supposedly killed him.
That's intense.
Yeah, and he even has this birthmark on his head
Oh,
that he
no.
claims is a scar from the attack.
Okay, that's chilling, like a physical reminder of a past life trauma.
Yeah, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will.
It certainly adds to the mystery, that's for sure.
Mhm.
But we should also say that this case is harder to verify, There's
Oh.
not a lot of information available.
Yeah.
But the details the boy gives and then what his father does after, it's definitely worth talking about.
Absolutely. So, guided by his son's memories, the father actually finds the location, the place the boy described. And get this, a body is discovered there. And to make things even crazier, the neighbor is arrested.
Okay, if this is true, it takes those past life memories beyond just remembering things.
Yeah.
It suggests that they can actually impact the present, that maybe they could solve crimes or reveal hidden truths.
It's like a real-life episode of CSI, reincarnation.
Exactly.
But even with the body and the arrest, there's still a lot of mysteries surrounding this case. We don't know for sure. Is it really a past life influencing things, or is it just a horrible coincidence?
Right, fueled by a child's imagination and a father's desperate search for answers.
Yeah, those are the questions that really stick with you, right? And those unanswered questions, those are the things that keep us coming back to these stories, searching for meaning, for patterns, for something, anything beyond the ordinary.
Absolutely. I think that's what draws us all in.
Yeah. But before we dive into the possible explanations for all of this, we got to talk about, the University of Virginia.
Mm.
They've been studying past life memories for over 50 years.
50 years. Wow.
Yeah, and they've documented over 2,600 cases.
That's a lot of cases.
There's a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And they're not just collecting stories, they're analyzing them,
Yeah.
looking for patterns, trying to figure out what's really going on.
Right. It's real research.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things they've found is that these experiences happen across all sorts of cultures and religions,
Mm-hmm.
which suggests that it's not just a cultural thing or tied to specific beliefs. It seems to be something that happens everywhere, which is pretty fascinating, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's a universal human experience, which makes it all the more intriguing.
For sure. And just like those cases we talked about, most of these kids start experiencing these memories around 2 or 3 years old
Yeah.
and then start to forget them by the time they're 7.
Mm-hmm. It's like a window of time, a little peek into another reality.
That age range is it's really interesting, isn't it?
It is.
It's a time when kids are learning language, figuring out the world, but they're still so open to the fantastical, to impossible things.
Right. That's a great point.
Makes you wonder if there's something about that stage of development that makes them more receptive to these experiences, or maybe more likely to just talk about them openly, without the doubt that we have as adults.
Yeah, without the filter of skepticism.
Exactly, the skepticism.
Yeah.
So we've got these intriguing cases. We've got a whole institution dedicated to studying this stuff, and a ton of questions.
So many questions.
So many questions. But before we get carried away with speculation, let's take a step back and think about the possibilities here.
Okay.
What could be behind these
Yeah.
seemingly impossible memories? Are we really seeing glimpses of past lives, or is there something else going on, something else entirely?
Good question. Yeah. Okay, let's dive into the deep end of speculation here. When it comes to explaining these accounts of past life memories, there are a few front runners, let's say,
Okay.
vying for our attention. So first up, we've got the classic explanation, reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that our souls or some essence of us, or
Yeah.
it goes through multiple lifetimes,
Right.
carrying memories and experiences along the way, like baggage from one trip to the next.
It's like a cosmic frequent flyer program.
Yeah, racking up those karmic miles.
But seriously, it's a concept that's fascinated people forever, right? I mean, who hasn't wondered if they've lived before,
Right.
maybe walked the earth in different shoes, had a different hairstyle.
From a hairstyle, yeah.
Exactly.
Reincarnation, it gives you this sense of continuity, right? Like a story that goes beyond just one life.
Yeah.
It suggests a purpose, a bigger plan, maybe even a chance to redeem yourself, cosmically speaking.
Yeah, to get things right.
Right, right. And if these kids' memories are real, I mean, if they're really seeing past lives, then that would be pretty strong evidence for this whole cyclical view of existence.
But it's a big if, right?
Mhm.
Reincarnation is a fascinating concept, but it also requires you to kind of take a leap of faith,
Yeah,
believe in something beyond what science can explain right now.
absolutely. It's not for everyone.
What of people who want their explanations to be a little more grounded in the real world?
Well, for those folks, we have the concept of the collective unconscious.
Okay.
This comes from Carl Jung.
Mm-hmm.
It suggests that we all tap into this shared reservoir of human experience,
Okay.
like a giant pool of memories and archetypes and instincts and all that.
So instead of individual past lives, it's like we're all connected to some kind of like a universal mainframe,
Exactly.
downloading bits and pieces of shared human experience.
Like accessing this cosmic library filled with the echoes of countless lives, the good, the bad, the everything.
Wow, that's a lot to process.
It is. It is.
But that could explain how these kids seem to know things that they couldn't have learned any other way.
Right. They're not remembering their own past lives. They're
Mhm.
tapping into this universal knowledge base.
It's a mind-bending idea for
Mhm.
sure, but it also raises questions about the nature of this collective unconscious. Like, how do we access it?
Right.
What shapes the information we get? Why are some kids more tuned into it than others?
All great questions, and questions that researchers are still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's not forget another contender here, genetic memory.
I fit.
This theory suggests that we inherit memories or predispositions
Mhm.
from our ancestors
Oh, yeah.
through our DNA.
So instead of past lives or a cosmic library, we're talking about something more personal.
Yeah, more
A
intimate.
legacy passed down through generations,
Exactly, yeah. It's in our biology.
like inheriting your grandmother's blue eyes. But instead of a physical trait, it's a memory, a feeling, a whisper from the past.
Whisper from the past, yeah. It's a more scientific approach, right? Those past life memories, they might actually be echoes of things that happened to our ancestors.
And they're encoded in our genes.
Exactly, yeah.
So we've got reincarnation, a spiritual journey through multiple lives. We've got the collective unconscious, a universal pool of shared experiences. And then we've got genetic memory, biological inheritance passed down through the generations. Three very different possibilities.
Three fascinating
Each
possibilities.
one giving us a different way of looking at these mysterious childhood accounts.
And it's important to remember that these aren't mutually exclusive.
Right.
Maybe there's truth to all of them,
Right.
or maybe there's a fourth explanation that we haven't even thought of yet.
That we haven't discovered yet.
Yeah, that's what's so exciting about this field. It's always pushing us to expand our understanding of what's possible.
It's like we're putting together this giant puzzle,
Yeah.
but we're missing some pieces, and maybe even the box top, to show us what the picture is supposed to be.
A very big puzzle.
A very big puzzle.
Yeah.
But even without the whole picture, we can still appreciate the individual pieces, right? Like the details of each case,
Yeah.
the questions they raise.
Yeah.
Like think back to the Japanese boy who remembered the sounds of the crosswalk signal.
Right.
Those little sensory details, those are often the most interesting, aren't they?
They are?
Like the American boy's knowledge of drop tanks.
Yeah.
Like those specifics, those details make the whole thing feel more real.
They do, they do. And it makes you wonder, what role do our senses play in these supposed past life memories? Are they just extra details, or are they clues to how this whole phenomenon works?
It's almost like certain senses like sound or smell, touch, those things act as triggers,
Yeah.
unlocking specific memories or emotions.
Right.
And if you think about it, those are usually the senses that are most connected to our deepest memories, the ones that really stay with us.
That's a great point. Maybe those sensory details give us a glimpse into how these memories, whether they're from past lives or the collective unconscious or our genes, how they're stored and how we access them.
It's like a key to unlock the door.
Yeah, a key to the memory vault.
And let's not forget the fading memories.
Yeah, the fading memories.
It seems like in almost every case, those memories are vivid and detailed when the kids are young, and then they fade away as they get older.
Like a dream you can't quite hold on to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a real puzzle. One theory is that young children, especially around 2 or 3, they're just more open to these kinds of experiences. Their brains are still developing. Their sense of self and reality is more flexible.
So like a young tree with branches that can bend and adapt to the wind.
Beautiful analogy, yeah. And as they get older, those branches become more rigid, less able to sway with the unknown.
And those intuitive connections, the ones that maybe allow them to tap into those memories, those get pruned back.
Yeah, maybe they get pushed aside as logic and societal norms take over.
So the memories fade, but do the effects linger? I mean, if these experiences are really shaping these kids when they're young, do they leave some kind of mark, an echo that stays with them even after they've forgotten the memory itself?
It's a fascinating question, and it makes us think about the bigger picture, right? How do these experiences, no matter where they come from, affect a person's life? Are they just fleeting curiosities, or do they shape our personalities, our fears, our passions, maybe even our destinies?
Like the butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
A tiny change in the past can have huge consequences down the road.
Absolutely.
A seemingly insignificant memory could set off a whole chain of events that ripples through a person's entire life.
It's a beautiful thought, but also a little unsettling.
It is.
It reminds us that the human mind is this vast, unexplored territory full of mysteries that we're only just starting to understand.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from specific cases to these broader theories.
We have.
And I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Oh, absolutely. We've barely dipped our toes in.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that even if we can't definitively prove or disprove these theories, the exploration itself is valuable.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Exactly. Yeah. By engaging with these ideas, by wrestling with these mysteries, we expand our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
We broaden our horizons.
We do. And who knows, maybe one day science will catch up.
Yeah.
Give us some concrete answers.
Until then, we're left with this fascinating mix of personal stories, scientific research, and philosophical questions.
Right. A lot to think about.
A lot to think about, yeah.
But that's part of what makes it so captivating, right? It's the unknown, the unexplained that keeps us curious, keeps us searching, keeps us pushing the boundaries of what we think we know.
So where do we go from here? I mean, we've looked at these incredible cases. We've talked about the different theories. And we've admitted that we don't really have all the answers.
Yeah, it's like we've opened this door to a secret room, but we're still fumbling around in the dark.
Yeah, looking for the light switch.
Exactly.
Well, maybe the key is to just stay curious,
Yeah.
to be open to the possibility that there's more to reality than what we think we know.
Absolutely. These stories, whether we see them as proof of past lives or echoes of some collective unconscious or even just leftovers from our ancestors,
Hmm.
they make us question our assumptions
So
about consciousness, about the limits of human
it's
experience.
like we've been given this treasure map,
Okay.
but it's full of like cryptic symbols, and the ink is faded. We can either throw it away and say it's a fake, or we can take the challenge.
Yeah.
See where it leads.
And even if we never find the treasure, the journey itself can change us. It
Mhm.
can lead us to new insights, new perspectives.
New ways of seeing things.
Exactly. And a deeper appreciation for the mysteries that are still out there.
Speaking of mysteries, let's go back to that meticulous documentation we talked about.
Okay.
The Japanese father, the one who recorded every little thing his son said,
Yeah, very detailed.
and Bruce, the American dad who turned into a full-blown detective.
Right. Determined to find the truth.
Their dedication to uncovering the truth, even if it meant questioning their own beliefs, I mean, that's pretty powerful.
It is. It shows how deeply these experiences affect families.
Yeah.
They force us to confront the unknown, to grapple with things that are outside our comfort zone.
It reminds us that these aren't just, theories or stories.
Right.
These are real people
Real people, real families.
dealing with these extraordinary things.
And searching for answers in a world that doesn't always take them seriously.
Yeah, a world that often dismisses anything that's outside the norm.
Exactly. But their efforts, whether they prove anything or not, they add to the conversation. They're data points in this growing body of research on past life memories.
And it's not just parents who are driving this exploration.
Right.
Like we mentioned, the University of Virginia has been studying this for decades.
For a long time.
Yeah, and they've documented thousands of cases.
Mm-hmm.
And their research suggests that these experiences are more common than we might think.
Yeah. They happen everywhere.
Yeah.
Across cultures, religions, you name it.
It speaks to how universal these questions are.
Yeah.
This human fascination with what's beyond what we can see and touch.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder how many other cases are out there, hidden away.
Yeah. Untold stories?
Maybe dismissed as kids just making things up. And it makes you think, what if? What if we were more open to these possibilities as a society? What if we listened to these kids with curiosity, but also with a critical mind?
Imagine what we could learn.
Yeah, imagine the new discoveries, the new understandings of consciousness and memory and how everything's connected.
It's an exciting thought.
It is.
But even without hard scientific proof,
Yeah.
I think there are valuable lessons here.
Right.
These stories remind us to stay humble, to admit that we don't know everything,
Mm-hmm.
and to embrace the mystery of the human experience.
They ask us to question our assumptions about reality,
Yeah.
to consider that maybe there's more to life and death and consciousness than we currently understand.
Maybe.
Maybe. And perhaps most importantly, they encourage us to really listen,
Full listen.
to listen to other people's experiences, even when those experiences challenge what we believe or make us uncomfortable.
With open hearts and open minds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of past life memories, I think it's safe to say we have more questions than answers.
Oh, definitely. But that's not a bad thing.
No.
No, not at all. Sometimes the best journeys are the ones that don't take us to a specific destination, but they help us understand the questions better.
The questions themselves.
Yeah, the questions themselves. And who knows, maybe those unanswered questions will spark something in you, our listener.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll want to learn more, to read about other cases, or even think about your own childhood memories.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll uncover some hidden truth or a forgotten connection.
Or maybe you'll just rediscover that sense of wonder about the mysteries of being human.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever your path may be, we encourage you to keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep an open mind to all the possibilities.
Because you never know what you might find.
You never know. Sometimes the most amazing discoveries start with a simple question. What if?
What if, indeed. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring those hidden rooms, and may your light switches always be within reach.
See you next time.